there was a song in the film, and there's a shell. There was like, it was a ceramic shell, so it was pretty heavy, and it was dropped onto my waist. And I didn't understand it, honestly, because I mean, you know, I was 18 years old, and I'm like, I don't know why they're doing that. I went through body shaming right from the time I was maybe, from what I remember, maybe about 12. You know, you've just hit puberty, you're just sort of, you know, growing up a little bit, and you're hit with all these weird comments, and people are, you know, passing comments about your body and saying that, you know, oh my God, why is your butt so big? And I'm like, you know, what do you mean? Message requests from people where they're just nasty. They're just so nasty. They're like, oh, you should do this surgery. You should do that. You should fix this about yourself. Yeah. And it's just hurtful. And sometimes I want to take a screenshot because I'm like, hey, you know, does your mom know that you're writing stuff like this? I've had a few difficult actors, some of them who I feel are unreasonably difficult. And I think I'm a pretty easygoing person. So most of the time, I don't like to engage with people like that.
It's been 9 years that I have known her. She has remained the same. The same madness, the same enthusiasm, but also been unapologetically herself all the while. Welcoming Ileana D'Cruz in conversation with me only on Bollywood Bubble today. How have you been? And I'm glad that you're finally doing it.
I know. That's so sweet. That was a really nice introduction. Thank you. I've been good. I've been really good. One of the fortunate few who's been, you know, lucky enough to zip away from the madness that's happening in Bombay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm here with my family, and it's just so nice to be here.
You know, Ileana, when we look back at your journey, we loved you as Shruti in Barfi. And I remember, like I remember meeting you in Calcutta, but you're completely different as a person from the character. You are a vivacious person. From what I can recall, there was a point, do you feel that after Barfi, because people loved your character and your performance so much, people actually felt you are like Shruti and you got those kind of roles? Did they try to, that happens a lot with actors, that they try to box them and stereotype them a certain way. So did you face those kind of prejudices?
I did. I definitely did. In fact, I got a role that was offered to me that was of a Bengali girl, and I think it was even set like in like the 80s or something. And I'm like, you know, no, I don't want to play the same thing again. I mean, maybe a few years down the line, I could play a similar sort of, you know, take on it, but I don't want to play the same thing again. I want to do something different. So I kind of made a very conscious decision and went completely, you know, the other way around. I did a complete Bollywood masala film. And I've sort of, you know, stuck to it. I've sort of not stuck to one genre. I've kind of, you know, dabbled in all sorts of different characters. And I like to sort of play a different role in every film I play. So I had a Pagalpanthi that was crazy. Now I've got a big bowl. Mubaraka. And after the big bowl, now I've got, you know, another film with Randeep that's complete. And hopefully we should release it in a few months. So that's a completely different story as well.
But when you look back at your choices, you've always been a picky chooser, you know, and you picked the best out of what you've got. And like you said, I was coming to that you have dabbled between genres and you've dabbled between content in a lot of ways. Some have worked, few haven't worked. I want to know, when you look back, do you have any regrets? Do you feel like maybe I shouldn't have done this film? Basically, I know of one for sure. So what is your take on the same?
There are certain films where I'm really excited when I've signed them on, but halfway through I'm just like, this is not going how I thought it would go. And somewhere you just know, you know, that no, this is not how I planned it was going to happen. And also I think it's a little out of my control because it's the director's take at the end of the day, and you know, it's his choice how he wants to make a film. So even if I may have agreed to it in the beginning, I sometimes have felt that, oh God, this was a mistake. But you know, it's a commitment. You've made the commitment, you've got to follow through. So yeah, of course, there have been some films that I was just like, I wish, you know, I hadn't done it, or I wish it had stayed exactly how it was meant to have. But I think in a way, I still like to believe everything happens for a reason. So
absolutely,
you know, I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it. I still think you can be a good actor in a really bad film. So
Absolutely.
it's up to me how badly. Yeah, exactly. It's up to me how badly, I want to play a role or how good I can play it.
But when you look back, also, there are a few misses. Like there were so many big films that were offered to you which you couldn't do. Do you regret that? Like for a fact, I know that you had 2 films with Salman Khan which couldn't happen because of date issues, which was Kick and Wanted, if I'm not wrong. Are there more?
Those 2 for sure, yes. There was another couple of things as well, yes, that I didn't do because of the timing. The timing was just off. So I don't necessarily regret it. I think if there's anything I do regret is the fact that maybe I've not done more work. Maybe I could have managed, my time better and done more work. So that's probably the only thing I do regret. But apart from that, no. I'm happy with the choices I've made.
Actually, you started off really young, and in the South, I remember that there was a point of time when Tapsi had spoken out about how she started off in the South in the beginning, and she was young, and she was hit with coconut shells, if I'm not wrong, like in a song, and something similar happened with you also in a song. How do you react to it now that you have done so many films, now that you have an idea about how things work? Back then, you must not have been in power of position to say or call it out. But would you call it out now? Like, what happened, and would you call out something like that today?
Well, it was my first film.
Yeah.
And I had a shot. It was a really successful film for one. And it was like, a take on sort of like Romeo and Juliet in a way.
Yeah.
And so it was like a full-on love story, and it was very passionate and very intense. And there's a song, I think, I can't remember whether it was the first song or the second song, but there was a song in the film, and there's a shell. It was a ceramic shell, so it was pretty heavy, and it was dropped onto my waist. And I didn't understand it, honestly, because, I was 18 years old, and I'm like, I don't know why they're doing that. I was so young, so naive. So, the director tried to explain to me that, it's a sensual shot. It'll look beautiful. It's going to be in slow motion, and, it's romantic. It's feminine. And, the shell is feminine as well. So, I honestly don't remember the words. But that was his reasoning behind it. And I was like, I don't know. I don't understand it, but I suppose it makes sense. So I went with it. If I had to do it now, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm all for, shooting things that look beautiful and feminine and stuff. It's part of the job. As much as I like to say it or not, I do like the whole song and dance thing. I'm a Bollywood actor. I'm an Indian film actress. I like it. I like the song and dance. I like to do a mix of everything. So who knows? You never know. Maybe not ceramic shell though.
Yeah, but did it
maybe
hurt?
Something lighter. It was a little heavy, but I could strong have muscles.
But one thing that you have battled throughout, and you continue to do it so bravely, is body shaming. And, people don't realize that everybody has a particular body type, and we have this notion that especially women, I think also men today, but especially women, have to be a certain way to look at. Like, Prachi Desai gave me an interview, and she said something really, really nice and perfect. She said that women in films are always looked at from a male gaze. And that's the problem. Also, that has happened to you in person a lot of times, when people started doing it. Like, I've been bullied a lot of times for the way I speak and the way I behave. When it happened back in my teens, when I was 10, 12, it used to affect me a lot, and I questioned myself. I remember that post that you had posted, and you said that there were days of self-doubt, that you had doubted, am I not good enough? How did you deal with those days? Do you remember those days?
Of course I do. I remember them like it was almost yesterday. It's weird. It's like a very deeply ingrained scar, I think, because you went through bullying, unfortunately, when you were 10 and 11, you said, right? I went through body shaming right from the time I was maybe, from what I remember, maybe about 12. You've just hit puberty, you're just sort of, growing up a little bit. And you're hit with all these weird comments, and people are, passing comments about your body and saying that, oh my God, why is your butt so big? And I'm like, what do you mean? So you think you're fine, and then suddenly you have random people saying things about you, and then you start to believe what they're saying. So I think it's such a deeply ingrained scar because you're carrying it for so many years. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of inner strength to tell yourself that what they're saying does not matter. What you feel about yourself is what's most important. And it's something that I tell myself every day, every single day. So, because I go through it every day. I have at least 10 messages that I can find on my Instagram right now about body shaming, for sure. So there's always going to be somebody who's going to say something about you, and it's harsh. And as much as I would like to just tell people, can you please be more kind and more sensitive, because you don't understand how much it can affect somebody else.
Absolutely.
The only thing I can say that's in your control is you and how you think about yourself. So I would constantly just tell people, your opinion about yourself is what matters the most.
Yeah.
The hell with the world, the hell with what they think. What you think about yourself matters. You are someone who's got to live with your body. And there's days where I'm like, I don't like this. Is my stomach too bloated? And then I'm like, you know what? No, it's fine. There's a uterus in there. It's fine. It's all right. It's not going to be flat. There's going to be a little bit of a bump always.
The thing is, when I say that I was bullied at 10, I was coming to that because I think when people are bullied at such a young age, when you hit somebody so hard in one position or one in their weakness, it becomes numb. Beyond a point, you just stop getting affected. When did you reach that point, and how did you reach that point? When did you finally tell yourself that, it doesn't matter? And like you said, that we celebrate our flaws. I do it, and I know you do it wonderfully well, and I take inspiration from you. So when did you actually say that to yourself?
It still hurts. It still hurts. I can't, look at you right now and say that, it doesn't affect me anymore. No, it still affects me. But I choose not to dwell on it. I choose not to let it, completely take over my life and take over my thoughts, because that's something that could get me down and get me massively depressed. So it's a very conscious choice and a very conscious decision to tell myself that, what that person said was hurtful. Sometimes it could even be like someone close to you, like your family could say something very insensitive, and they don't realize that they're being insensitive, but it could really, touch a nerve. So I still haven't reached that point where I'm, completely unaffected. No, it still affects me. And somewhere I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it, because I said, you know what? There's lots of things about my body that I actually love. So every time someone says something that might be hurtful, I'll think about, but you know what, I like this about my body, I like that about my body, and I think that's beautiful, and that's okay. It's your opinion. I don't agree with it. That's fine.
But when you have an opinion and you're a public face, when you put it out there in the open, sometimes you have to sugarcoat, because unfortunately I take it on the media. From the media side, I take a blame on myself, and every media house that's giving this position to trolls by covering troll stories, that this actor was trolled, and then we do these kind of comments which are trolls. And I think people get encouraged by that kind of behavior. Like when I joined Bollywood bubble, and thankfully now that I am in a position of control here, that was my first advice to my team, that we are not going to do any troll stories.
That's really good.
Not many people do. I don't want to, this is not an example kind of a thing. This is something that I've always grown up with, because I have had trolls and I don't like it. And I know the mentality that people might have, that if you cover one, the other 10 who are already trolling will do it even more, because they want to get featured in one of those columns or stories. But as a celebrity, does it become doubly difficult to sometimes answer back and give a befitting response to them? And, not abuse, not cross a line, although you want to maybe in your heart on days.
It is. It's very hard. I have resisted the urge so many times to take screenshots of the DMs I get. Like message requests from people where they're just nasty. They're just so nasty. They're like, oh, you should do this surgery. You should do that. You should fix this about yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just hurtful. And sometimes I want to take a screenshot, because I'm like, hey, does your mom know that you're writing stuff like this? Does your sister know that you're writing stuff like this? What would they think? But then I think about it, I was like, for me, it's a momentary thing that I'll put out there. And as bad as it may be, I might probably affect somebody's life for the worse. As much as they do need a telling off, it's probably not the right way. So I think the only thing I could do is, maybe just tell people to try and be stronger. But yeah, there have been moments where I have, not really thrown caution to the wind, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to put this comment out there, and I have blurred out the names. But
Yeah.
I think people need to know. People need to know that it's okay to doubt yourself, but it's not okay to give power to people like this and believe everything that they're telling you. So yeah, you got to believe in yourself. You got to be your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about media and we talk about trolls like that because the media also is part of it. Whenever, when I write Ileana D'Cruz on YouTube, there are so many photoshopped images for no reason. Like I'm sure you also must have seen those thumbnails that
I actually haven't looked up YouTube. Oh God, now I don't want to.
Don't. You should just Ileana D'Cruz interview. If you do, then you will see something else. But if you just do Ileana D'Cruz, because I think because of those pictures and enhanced pictures, I think people click on it and it's sad, and people are doing it on a regular basis. But have you faced something of that, like a body shaming comment or an experience from the industry when you were signing films, or have people commented on your weight or the way you look?
I have had it a couple of times from some co-stars sometimes.
Oh.
And yeah. I mean, it has happened, but I mean, I do get that I'm also in an industry where you've got to be aesthetically, got to look a certain way. It is what it is. It's about the looks as well. So I do understand there's a certain level of fitness that has to be maintained. There's a certain sort of level of an image maybe that you've got to portray. But I'm also happy about the fact that, I'm not a skinny girl. Yeah. I'll always be a girl who's got curves. I'll be a girl who's got hips, and I'm okay with it. I think I've got lovely hips, and I'm very happy with it. So as long as I'm healthy, I don't see any reason to alter the way I look.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel you look fabulous, and I think you have a heart of gold. People who know you, they love you, and I can share my deepest sorrows and my happiest highs with you, which is amazing. And that's what matters at the end of the day, because we are all happy. But when you speak about co-stars, do you remember what they said? How did you deal with that? Because doesn't it become difficult to face the co-star again on the very next day, actually?
It's a very subtle comment, but it still affects you. It's like, oh, have you put on weight? Like, did you put on a little bit of weight? Like, you look like you put on weight. And for me, I mean, I know it's a touchy subject because it's like I've dealt with it my whole life.
Yeah.
So even if someone could be teasing me, I think after the pandemic or during the pandemic, someone just was like, oh, did you lose weight? And my brain immediately went like, oh, they're being sarcastic. And they were actually being genuine, So it's weird. So it's a very odd sort of space. So it could just be a passing comment, but I just feel that this normalcy that people have, and they think it's okay to comment on someone's weight, whether you've put on weight, lost weight, stayed the same, who cares? Yeah. Just don't talk about somebody's weight, unless True. They bring up the subject, don't talk about it. It's a sensitive subject. Yeah.
When you speak about actors and working with them, have you ever had difficult actors, and how did you deal with the entire schedule? You don't have to name.
I will not name.
I know the name.
But yes, I know you know. But of course, I've had difficult actors. I mean, also, when you're working with people for such a long period of time, you're bound to have some sort of a disagreement or a difference of opinion or something. I've had a few difficult actors, some of them who I feel are unreasonably difficult. And I think I'm a pretty easygoing person. So most of the time, I don't like to engage with people like that. And if I feel that, you're difficult, I'll just back off. But yeah, some of them are just really strangely just unreasonably difficult. And I try to understand why they're being the way they're being. And I just come down to one thing most of the time, and it's always the same. It's just the insecurity.
Absolutely. I was coming to that.
And it's strange. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I don't like drama, because I'm not insecure. If I'm worried about my work, it's because I'm not putting my best in. It's not because someone's holding me back. No one's going to stand in front of the screen and say, no, don't act. No, it's up to me how well I can perform. So I'm not insecure about my work at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So I've noticed that the difficult ones are the ones who are insecure, unfortunately. And I feel sorry for them.
In fact, you are one of the most secure actors, because I know for a fact that in the multi-stars that you've done, people really, really like working with you. Whether it's Anil sir, whether it's Atya, whether it's Arjun, whether it's Varun, Nargis, I think they've always had wonderful stuff to say about you, which is commendable, because in this industry, insecurity is a thing, and it's not because actors. I think insecurity is a thing in people. Like I deal with insecure people on a daily basis, like people who say amazing job with your show, and then they go and type something to some person and say, what is he doing and all that. I get to know it, but it's like, okay, then great. You're like restricted. That's
like the best feature on social media: block, restrict.
Yeah, exactly. When we come to that, there have been. Do you have? And did you ever feel any sense of insecurity because of the treatment meted out to you? Like, sometimes when we have heroes and heroines on set, unfortunately, sexism is a huge debate. Today, Anushka and Deepika have also said that people of their stature have also been made to feel small in front of actors. And it can be the littlest things, like you said, it may be the size of a room to the size of a vanity, XYZ, anything, and to the biggest of things, like roles getting chopped, people getting insecure of you getting a better dialogue. Have you faced any of that while shooting?
Yeah, I have. I definitely have. I think there has been very often a very distinct sort of, difference in, like you said, I mean, sometimes with Vans, sometimes with, and right at the beginning of my career, I definitely faced it. But it made sense to me back then because, I was working with really established actors. So I was like, well, okay, I get it. But I feel like now I've reached a point where if I'm going to, fixate on why is he getting this car and why don't I get that car, it's just going to mess with my head. It's going to mess with my work. And at the end of the day, when you're watching a film, you're not going to have a subtitle on the bottom saying that, okay, Ileana was driven around in this car and he was driven around in that car. No, people are going to watch you. And if your work suffers because of that, they're going to judge your work. They're not going to judge the fact that, she didn't get a nice car to drive around in. So I honestly have a list of things that, just the basic stuff that I require when I'm working, and it's a proper sort of business deal, and it's up to a producer whether he's okay with it or not. So it's a complete negotiation. It's not like they have to do this for me, and it's all pre-planned. So when you're on set, I mean, things always sort of follow those rules, and thankfully I'm in a state now where I'm established enough where people don't really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it doesn't really.
Now things were slowly opening up, and now we are back to square one. We are again in an uncertain position in the industry where we don't know what is going to happen. But is there any project that you already have signed which was supposed to go on floors maybe right now, or will go on floors anytime soon?
There's something we're still talking about it. We haven't officially signed on paper, but hopefully we'll have an announcement soon. And it's something I'm very excited about. It's something that we plan to start rolling with, I want to say in the next couple of months. So if everything goes well, if things, slow down a bit, if things get better in Bombay, then hopefully. But it's something I'm so excited about. And once things are official, I cannot wait to tell people about it. I'm so excited about it.
And then there's Raid 2 also, right? Because the director has gone on record saying that he is planning Raid 2 with the same cast, which is Ajay Devgan and you. Of course, it will be a different Raid story.
From what I know of, I think the last time this was spoken about was a very long time back. So I don't know if there's anything in talks right now, or if they're planning anything, not that I'm aware of.
But Ileana, thank you for this. It was lovely. It's always fun to chat with you. I'm happy that I'm glad that you took out time for us. I always have this complaint, and I will continue having it till you change it, that you need to do more films, because actors of your stature and actors of your caliber deserve to be seen more on screen. And you will always be one of those very special people, humans from the industry, who I will honestly and unabashedly share my life with, without the fear of being judged. I know
you will never be judged.
I know. That's why. But thank you so much.
Oh, it was lovely. Take care of yourself.